Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahol, the Second Swing Golf, here at the PGA show in Orlando, joined by Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper is a senior project manager for golf ball R&D at Titleist. Got some new golf balls, Scott. It's Pro V1 time. Pro V1 and Pro V1x. I know, in terms of golf balls and the names of golf balls that you think of, I'm pretty sure Pro V1 and Pro V1x is the first one that jumps up to the minds of most golfers out there. So
happy to hear that.
We got to talk about some of the tech, but just first, I want to just kind of maybe just get your perspective on really the history of Pro V1 and kind of the landmark, of course, I guess, announcement and release of Pro V1 back in 2000, and now we're 25 years later. So kind of just talk, maybe to reflect on how Titleist has done this over the years and become the #1 ball in golf.
I think when looking back, Pro V1 changed the game.
It did.
And when I look back at what we did 25 years ago, I've been with the company 20 years, so I wasn't here for the infancy of it. But we've built and built and built technology, improving constantly. And a lot of people ask, like, when we develop the 25 ball, like when you start working on the 27, like when the 2000 ball, whatever year we're talking about, it's a never-ending cycle. Like, we're constantly learning from previous prototypes, previous failures, previous successes. Like some of the aerodynamic packages that worked many years ago, we build that into future work. Like, I know we've taken iterative steps to just continue to make it better and better and better.
Yeah, and what does that testing process, because you say it's a never-ending cycle of testing. So how rigorous is that testing process? I've seen glimpses of it being down at the facility down south. I know there's a whole new location kind of in Massachusetts. So what does that process look like for you guys?
So, like I said, it's never ending, but we want to get tour validation from the best golfers on earth.
Sure.
So we go to the tour and we ask them, what do you want from your golf ball? So we went to the tour and asked them, and we got a lot of, my ball's good, don't change anything, which as a product development engineer, I don't want to hear. But what they asked for this past year from the 23 version was a little bit more spin and control in the middle of the bag without adding spin to the driver. So we talk about spin slope, like you always want to keep the driver spin low and maximize wedge spin. So you can hit it far, stop it fast.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that was the North Star. That was our target for the 25 products.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of testing, once we get that feedback from the tour, our engineers we just start building prototypes. Like, we build on the 25 years of work, knowledge, successes and failures. And we have a lot of levers that might add speed, spin, whatever that we want to change. And we just start building prototypes, a few dozen in the back. Then we do a bunch of machine testing where we take the human element out of it.
Okay.
So we have the robots hit them, we gather all the data, and we'll typically target 175, like high ball speeds that will be seen on tour. But we hit all the clubs throughout the bag because every club matters.
Right.
And we fit from the green back. So if it doesn't perform off the wedge,
there's no point in going back any further.
100%.
Right.
So we'll gather data from these machine tests and kind of narrow in or find the trend, the direction we want to go. And then we'll build more prototypes. We'll fine tune it. And then once we get to a point where after several iterations of testing, narrowing down, fine tuning, when we have 2 or 3 that we really think we're going to like, we'll give them to our tour rep, 40 Pitts and his team, and he'll go out and test with the guys on tour, and that's the feedback we need to validate this is what we delivered. It matters to them. They make their living doing it. And then our team will do a little bit more testing, make sure it conforms to all the rules of the USGA and the RNA. And ultimately, we need to be able to manufacture them. And our team will take them over. We call it the platform process. That's the beginning of scaling up to be able to make millions of them.
Wow. So it's obviously a long kind of, I shouldn't say drawn out process, but it's very rigorous in that it's step by step by step by step to get it down to all these prototypes, down to what we have here, which is the 2025 versions of Pro V1 and Pro V1x. Let's kind of talk about kind of the tech involved and the pieces here. We kind of have the nice, the inside, what's under the hood, so to speak, pieces here. So I got Pro V1 in my hand. Why don't you talk to me about, I guess, exactly what I'm looking at here?
All right, so this is the core. And what we did for the 25 Pro V1 was we changed the core recipe. So if you bake a cake, there's a recipe. We changed the recipe and the chemistry, and what we were able to deliver was we changed that spin slope and we're able to give the golfer a little bit more speed. So this is really the biggest change for what happened for 2025 Pro V1.
Okay.
Okay. A little bit higher in compression, gave a little bit more ball speed, and ultimately we have to follow the rules of the USGA.
Sure.
So Pro V1 flies lower than Pro V1x.
Yeah.
Our manufacturing facilities are phenomenal, and our ability to limit risk and making the ball a little bit faster, I think gives us the edge over many of our competitors, because we were able to inch a little bit closer to that threshold where we made the ball faster. So the golfer's going to see higher ball speed, he'll hit it longer, he'll have more stoppability because we added a little bit of spin to the wedge, 5-iron through the wedge, which is exactly what they asked for.
Right, exactly. So now in terms of, again, this is Pro V1, again, most iconic model out there in terms of golf balls, but the slight differences of Pro V1x, and I think there's, a lot of the golfers that watch and listen to this are pretty tuned in with what Pro V1x versus Pro V1 is. There's an extra layer, an extra component there. What exactly does it mean? What is the added layer in Pro V1x that Pro V1 does not have?
So Pro V1x is a 4-piece golf ball. It has a dual core. So if you look at the 2 different colors, we call that the center. That's the outer. Then we have an ionomer casing and a cast urethane cover. And what we're doing there is changing the gradient. So what we're trying to do is change the spin profile based on how we put together that dual core. The biggest differences between these two, aside from there being 4 pieces versus 3 pieces, is spin, feel, and peak height. So Pro V1x always spins more than Pro V1 off every shot in the bag. Pro V1x flies higher than Pro V1. And the one thing we did change with the 25 version, we knocked the Pro V1x flight down from the 2023 version just a touch.
Okay.
Because we added ball speed to it, we took on risk to fail the USGA conforming ODS test.
You didn't want it to go too high, yeah.
It would fail if we kept it there, so we changed the edge angle. We just changed the depth of the dimples a little bit to knock it down so that we were able to give the golfer more ball speed. So hand in hand with that, it flies a little bit lower. Our dispersion for the Pro V1x got a little bit better. I think we're far superior to our competitors.
Yeah.
Versus 23, the landing area just got a little bit tighter because it got on the ground a little bit faster. But basically, why you would choose this ball versus that ball, a lot of people ask me which one's longer, which should I play? And it's totally dependent on the golfer. Okay. Some people, if you hit a low ball and you're low spin, X is probably the better ball for you, and vice versa. If you need to knock some spin out, or if you hit the ball high and want to knock it down, but it's all based about spin, flight, and feel. And again, feel is a preference, like if you like a softer ball, this is ultimately going to feel softer than this.
Yeah, makes sense. So last thing I wanted to talk to you about is kind of something that our fitters will say a lot when it comes to getting fit. Of course, we fit golf clubs a lot, but then also at the end, it's always a ball fitting discussion.
Yep.
And I think the number one rule that we always try to impress upon the golfers is play the same ball, at least for a long period of time, right? So if it's, regardless of which one, try not to flip kind of and change your ball. Is that, would you agree with that? So at least it feels the same and you have the consistency there.
Ideally, you'd be fit for the proper ball, but you want to know what your yardage is with your 9-iron, regardless of what ball you play.
Yeah.
You want to know how it's going to react on the chip shot. And they do react and perform differently. That's why we have 2 options.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you play the same ball, it is going to benefit you because you're going to know how the ball is going to perform and react, because the whole reason we have 2 versions is that they do perform and feel different.
Awesome, yeah. Well, Scott, thank you for the time here. This has been awesome learning about Pro V1 and Pro V1x. 25 years in the making. This is, of course, the latest and greatest here. We talked about all the innovations. If you're interested, of course, Pro V1 and Pro V1x at Second Swing. You can improve your game by playing these golf balls this year. Scott, thank you again for the time. Learned a lot here. This is awesome.
Thank you.